Hi, I'm Jeff with Paint by Jeff Hoskins. Today we're working on a '69 Camaro for Bud Pruce. We are known for multicolored, high detail paint jobs, but even on a fairly simple two-color paint job, there's a lot of detail. We can still have anywhere from 230 to 275 hours in a one-color car. Basically, from the time we start prepping a body on through the primer process, we've got our hands on every square inch of the body, including wing, deck lid, spill plates, hood scoops, removable parts. After we prime, we have to sand the entire car. We have to sand all that primer, so you got your hands on every square inch of that car again. Then throughout the paint application, laying out paint designs, even simple stripes, all the way through to a multicolor design, again, you've got your hands all over it. Then you clear the car. You're not done at that point. You still have to sand that clear coat finish to get it as slick as you can and then buff it up. So that whole process, you've got your hands on the entire car again, every square inch of the car. A lot of people think you can just drag a Scotch-Brite over these cars, put some paint on it, and magically it's done. And it's not the case. There is a lot of labor involved in these cars, and if it's worth doing right. Years ago, the cars had carbon front ends and doors that were made by aftermarket companies, but the roof, quarters, rocker panels were always steel, and that made a lot of body work. The whole industry has evolved quite a bit with the new carbon fiber bodies. It's cut down on the body work quite a bit. So really our biggest thing anymore is the body lines, or rather the mold lines that come in all the bodies. It's not a big hassle. Chassis builders will modify the body. They'll relocate wheel openings, add to the front ends, things like that. If that's the case, then we do the work as far as going over those sectioned areas with carbon cloth and resin, making sure that everything works really well, it's nice and tight, and don't show later. Okay, we are sticklers on body lines, things like that. One thing that we do not like is very sharp body lines. You look at any car, whether it's a production car, they don't have razor sharp edges. So we like to, after we make sure that our body lines are nice and even, we will soften those edges and keep from having a sharp edge. One of the things that helps also is throughout the paint process, if it's a softer edge, there's less chance of a chip or something like that. So take care of those areas and just move on to the primer process. Throughout the years, we've worked on many different carbon bodies, several different brands, names. I think we've probably seen them all. And one thing we do like about the Velocity bodies from McAmis, they're the best quality that we've had to deal with, as far as a lot of these bodies that we've had in the past had a lot of big blisters, blowouts, and a lot of issues. Tim has really, I don't know how he does what he does and the guys that he has, what they do, but they're doing the best carbon work out there. It really helps us on our end. A lot less body work needed on these bodies. I've had a lot of customers ask, what about this body or that body? I'm thinking about going with this one or that one. I always tell them, because weight is a huge issue with most of our Pro Mod customers, I always tell them you have to start with a good body if you're going to have a light body in the end. So with Tim's bodies, it's the best body going in, it's the best body going out. There again, getting back to what we said about a good body going in requires less body work. Chassis shops weigh their cars before they go to a paint shop, and they weigh them when they come back, whether they're getting painted or wrapped. We have our own scales here as well. So we can weigh a car before we start on it, and we've weighed them after body work only. We've weighed them after body work and primer. We've weighed them when they're done, cleared, and ready to go out the door. On a one-color paint job, we done a one-color '69 with SS stripes with a painted chassis at 7.5 pounds. We do have the proof for people who will say, that's not true. Now, when you get into a multicolored paint job, where there's a lot of different colors, multiple layers, sometimes you have to clear certain candy colors entirely, then move on with your airbrush work. So there you start building up extra weight, it's extra material, extra work. Then you can get into, anywhere from a 13, 14 pounds all the way up to 17 pounds on a multicolored candy job. The heaviest job I think we've put out was still under 20. But on a customer who's really worried about the weight, they just want to make sure it's light, we've done, like I said, the lightest job we've had with chassis paint, 7.5 pounds. We make our own stencils in-house for all of our airbrush work. A lot of the stuff we used to cut by hand, but Chris here at the shop has taken it on his own to learn the process of how to make these, and along with a lot of other things that we do throughout our paint process, whether it's emblems like this or the paint designs, the shapes, things like that. Chris makes me look like a stud with this stuff. We've really simplified our process by doing this. Once again, a well-worn tool that Chris made. Real simple deal, all right? If you can see that, it's a little star shape, chuck buckler, and I call these sparkles, because what is it? It's a fucking sparkle. So, real easy tool. As soon as we're done with all the airbrush work, basically we go over the entire thing with foamy glass cleaner. I know to some painters who like to follow the rule book are gonna say, what? Foaming glass cleaner? We like it. It takes oils off from your fingers, and let's face it, you've got your fingers all over these things. So it's important to get the oils from your fingers off of there, so it's the best thing that we've found to use. We'll wipe the entire body with foaming glass cleaner, dry it off real well. At that point, we use a tack rag to get the dust off of it and move on to the clear process. After we put 4 coats of clear on, we typically don't like to bake our finishes. Sometimes there's body mounts and things that can swell, different cut lines if the body's been sectioned or something. And if you bake the body, those things are going to show up. So we typically let things air dry. Usually overnight is plenty of time. Then we can start sanding on the car. And we usually sand the car with 800 grit. We will block the clear coat first, move on through all the way up to 2000 grit. And then we'll buff the car using a buffing compound and a wool pad. And then we follow that up with a black foam pad with a polish that removes all the swirls from buffing.